Morning, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order for Polk County Board of Commissioners for Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. All commissioners are present. First up is comments for items not on this agenda. That's the public portion. All right. Hearing none. Looking for approval of the agenda.
Also move.
Sorry, second.
Yep. Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes from June 21st.
Also move.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Passes unanimously. And approval of the consent calendar.
Also move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, so we're going to go into a resolution 23-08 in consideration of adoption of the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Mr. Hanson.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, before you is resolution 23-08, which is the adoption of the county budget for the upcoming fiscal year. As part of that adoption, you will solidify the tax rates for the county, which will be 1.716, which is our permanent rate. And then with the vote of the people in May, the new operating levy of 49.5 cents per thousand. The total budget you'll be adopting this year, or at least being recommended for adoption, is $128,417,550. There were significant and minor changes to the approved budget that was approved in May. Almost all of those are changes involving beginning fund balance and beginning fund balance adjustments. The biggest beginning fund balance adjustment was in behavioral health, increasing it from 10 million to 12 million. All the others tend to be smaller in nature. There is a reduction in the general fund contingency of 110,000. 100,000 of it is an increase in transfer to the insurance fund. And then the other is another 10,000 increase in transfer to the dog control fund. The next largest beginning fund balance adjustment is in public works. And even though it doesn't change the budget a lot, beginning fund balance will be greater than anticipated, but revenues will be lesser than anticipated. We are currently doing a project out at Grand Ron Road, which started in June. My estimation was we were going to spend X dollars on that before the end of the fiscal year, with the bulk of it occurring in this new fiscal year. That hasn't been the case. And included in that project is revenues that will be received from the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ron and Yamhill County, since the portion we started in was the Yamhill County portion. So we will have greater revenues in this current fiscal year for work done in this fiscal year. So that is the result of the greater beginning fund balance, and then some lesser expenses in 23-24 for the completion of that project and the revenues that I thought I was going to receive the following year. The other big portion of revenue that we received this year was our exchange money with the ODOT and the state of Oregon. It's about $900,000. I thought it was coming in 23-24, but ODOT actually got us the money quicker than anticipated, and we received it in 22-23. So with that, like I said, every other beginning fund balance modification, some positive, some negative, were minor in nature in my overall view. We can go in and go through every one of them if you want, but attached in your adoption is the approved budget, and then all the detailed budgets of those budgets that changed with beginning fund balances. But I, again, strongly urge you to adopt and approve the 23-08 resolution, which formally adopts the budget and lays out the appropriations and for the county and the tax rate. Happy to answer any question.
I have no question. Great job laying it out.
Commissioner Gordon?
No questions for me. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay, no questions from me. I'm looking for my resolution language.
I'm looking for the resolution itself.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I need a motion for adoption of the budget for resolution 23-08.
Also move.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, so the motion is to adopt the budget for the county and for 23-24 in the sum of $128,417,550. And so we're doing that part separately from the appropriations, right?
No,
Okay, and then in adoption of appropriations, it would be resolved that we would, that we would appropriate the dollars
as laid out in the.
as laid out in that budget, and it's equal to
Yep.
the prior number. And then section 3, and then adoption of the tax too, all in the same motion? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Everything's included in that resolution.
okay. And then it would also be further resolved that the Board of Commissioners for Polk County hereby imposes the taxes provided for in the adopted budget at the rate of 1.716 per thousand of assessed value and a rate of 0.4950, 49.5 cents per thousand of assessed value for the public safety operating levy, and that these taxes are hereby imposed and categorized for tax year 2023 through 2024 upon the assessed value of all taxable property within Polk County. And that is where we are. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Passes unanimously. All right. Next up, that concludes our resolution for adoption of the budget. Next up is general liability property insurance.
Yes, members of the board, we'll have two insurance items. The first one being the insurance that we purchased through CIS. We purchased general liability insurance, automobile liability insurance, auto physical damage. We purchased property and boiler insurance. We're also going to be purchasing excess crime coverage. We're also going to be purchasing cybersecurity coverage and excess coverage. And then when you bundle all that together, you get a overall discount, multi-line of credit through CIS that gives you those insurances. The coverages basically remain the same. Obviously, we have more buildings. The cost of replacing buildings goes up. So your property insurance is going up approximately 50,000 over what it did last year. Your liability insurance is going up in about the same amount. Total cost of this insurance is almost $750,000, which is up about 20-25% over last year. So the cost of insurance is getting greater. When you couple that with workers' comp insurance, we'll be spending about $1 million in insurance this coming year. And that's a big number. So personally, when I get my insurance bill, it bugs me, but $1 million one really hurts. So I'd recommend that we purchase this insurance. We don't have the ability fiscally or financially to address going self-insured. It would be a nice luxury to have, but we don't have the fiscal resources to manage that or participate in that type of coverage. There are 7 counties in the state that I believe are self-insured, with the remaining 29 counties purchasing insurance, not necessarily all these components, but they are purchasing insurance to cover their risk.
Questions? Motions?
I'd like to make the motion that we accept the workers' compensation insurance as
Nope.
recommended,
This is general liability
but
and
general liability insurance
yep.
for the year of 23-24, the recommended is by Administrator Hanson.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the general liability insurance proposal as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, passes unanimously. Workers' compensation insurance, Mr. Hanson.
Yes, workers' compensation insurance, we have, obviously, we have coverage. We've had multiple carriers over my history with the county. Most recently, we are now with SAFE. We used to be with CIS. CIS converted over to SAFE and got out of the workers' comp business 2 years ago. So we will be entering our 3rd year with SAFE. You can see that our experience rating has fluctuated in the 0.8s. Experience rating is either your discount or your excess, depending on what your number is. So if you had $100,000 workers' comp and your experience rate was 0.85, you'd pay 85,000. If it was 1.15, you'd pay 115,000 for that same insurance. For a county that's doing a pretty good job in its workers' comp, if you're in the 0.8s, that's about where you lie. If you have an incredible 2 or 3 years of experience, you can get it down into the 0.7s. If you look at the top line of history, we were at 0.63. That's the lowest I've ever heard of for a county. But that was 3 amazingly lucky years. Safety is a concern in Polk County and a big concern, but you got to get lucky in workers' comp also, because one little accident can get your rates quite high. If you remember, we were on a retro plan the last 25 years. Last year, we decided to go to a fixed rate. I'm recommending a fixed rate again this year. Last year I didn't. I recommended the retro, but you guys went with the fixed rate. The upper end risk for retro plans are getting to the point where they're almost impossible to utilize. It's not worth the upper end risk to save the 10 or 15, maybe, on a great year, $50,000, $80,000, but on a bad year, you're exposing yourself to, 70% of your premium, which is in this case, 150 to 200,000 extra dollars. So that lower end benefit is getting smaller and that upper end risk is getting larger. If we would have gone with a retro this year, the year isn't over, so any claims that occur in the next 3 days and for the month of June are not in the system. You can see that our claims for this year are at 140,000. 52,000 of that is reserves. Some of those will come to fruition, some won't. There is a chance that you could end up being above that with reserves. You just don't know how certain claims turn out. So if we ended at 140,000, going with the fixed rate that we chose this year, you're going to be about where you would have paid on a retro plan. If we ended up at the 88,000, you would have saved probably 50, 60,000. You end up above 140,000, you would have paid more. So you never know. And you can see in our claims history, we have some big numbers. Those bigger numbers, 6-figure numbers, tend to be more the norm than what they used to be. So I think going with the fixed plan is probably the safer and better option this upcoming year.
Comments, questions?
None for me.
And for me,
Just as a note, of course, our experience modifier does not include this year and
No.
won't for another year, right?
right, so
And-
it's the 3 previous years that have already come in, so your current one is not ever in there.
And what's your predictability that we maintain 0.87 or less next year?
You should go down because if we stay at the 88, which we know we've paid in claims, or end up at the 140, you're gonna have 187 drop off and 140 come on, so that will be better. The problem is, it's your most recent one is weighed heavier. It goes, I think it goes 50%, 35%, 15%. So where the low one, the $35,000 one was a bigger chunk. So we're gonna probably end up somewhere between 0.87 and 0.85 is my guess. If we end up at 88, we will definitely drop. If we end up at 140, we're gonna probably stay about the same.
Thank you. All right, who'd like to make a motion?
I'll move to select SAFE as the workers' compensation insurance carrier for Polk County and select the fixed plan in the amount of $267,416.61.
I'll second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to accept the presentation. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right, do we have a need for an executive session?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Anything else to come before the board before I close? Okay, we are adjourned.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good one.